The internet puts the world at your fingertips, but rest assured there's plenty of cool stuff out there you've yet to discover. From unusual plants and animals to bizarre natural phenomena, here are some things you're probably about to see for the first time in your life. This unusual creature is so translucent that you can see its entire respiratory system as it breathes. The Brazilian skipper caterpillar blends in with its green surroundings by presenting its own innards as the veins of the leaf it sits upon. This protects the insect from hungry birds as it prepares to transform into a beautiful butterfly. And I bet it's a real hide-and-seek champ. It's hard to believe the so-called dragon eggs or euperlites in these images haven't come straight from a movie. But you can probably find one yourself if you look hard enough. These odd-looking rocks were first discovered in Michigan, USA, and possess an extraordinary ability to glow like molten lava, despite being cold to the touch. This is because they contain the mineral sodalite, which glows under UV light in a magnificent display of nature. What you're seeing here isn't an ocean full of post-it notes, but a huge school of cow-nose rays captured by drones off Bondi Beach in Australia. These majestic creatures exist through the western Atlantic and Caribbean, and often migrate north in giant herds in late spring. From above, they look like impressive mosaic artwork, or a big bowl of ravioli, depending on how hungry you are. The fabled fish tube pictured here is a viral sensation, which is actually a pretty nifty invention for migrating salmon. The system, also dubbed the salmon cannon, helps native fish pass over dams in seconds rather than days as they are safely transported over land by a pneumatic tube using air pressure. The whole thing must be either super fun or hella confusing for the fish who find themselves inside though. They say the woods can be a scary place, but who knew plants like these could be the ghouls in hiding? The spooky-looking Monotropa uniflora, or ghost plant, doesn't rely on sunlight to survive as it contains no chlorophyll. Instead, it acts as a parasite by zapping the energy of photosynthetic trees while it can grow in complete darkness, where its waxy white appearance lends its ghostly name. It's not just plants and animals with unusual talents. Check out the woman who cries crystal tears. It's not as glamorous as it sounds according to Ms. Kazarian, as these painful glass-like tears are more of a curse than a blessing. Researchers initially believed her to be suffering from a rare medical condition similar to cystinosis, which causes a buildup of crystal-like substance, but recently foul play has been discussed due to their sheer size. Either way, this is one bizarre, unheard-of ability. Some say if cats had thumbs, they'd rule the world. Well, we'd better move over because that time has finally come. A genetic anomaly called polydactyl can cause thumbs in many animals, but feline thumbs are especially common, and they look far less menacing than you might imagine. Take Bronson for example, the 33-pound viral rescue cat who may or may not have been using his thumbs to open the kitchen cupboards. Freaky fingers aren't so uncommon, and polydactyly, causing extra digits, affects many from the subtle to the downright ridiculous. But how many people own a thumb this big? Surprisingly, this isn't Photoshop, as an American teen truly has an unexplainable 5-inch thumb. But with this weapon, I'm sure he's a thumb war world champ. Holograms seem like something from a distant future, but what if I told you they even exist in desktop form? This is the Looking Glass, designed by 40 Views Volumetric Capture Company, a successful Kickstarter invention which puts holographic technology at the fingertips of 3D designers. The device creates 45 separate views of a 3D model, replicating it using a special lens to create a working hologram, which can be then analyzed from all angles. Pretty neat, right? The weather has some astonishing powers. Check out these frozen apples discovered by a farmer in Michigan, without any real fruit inside. The ghost apples appeared during a freeze brought on by a polar vortex when rain coating the fruit froze, and in some cases, the already rotted apples inside then slipped through the icy shell. This is because apples have a lower freezing point than water, allowing them to thaw and escape in mush form when pruning shook them loose. If you believe in Mother Nature herself, then check out this video in which the forest floor appears to be breathing. While most plants breathe through photosynthesis, this human-like respiration has boggled the minds of many. Surprisingly, this forest in Quebec was simply reacting to the push and pull of some seriously strong winds, which dislodged the root system of the young trees from their mossy surroundings, creating a seemingly sentient woodland. A human-sized burrito sounds tasty, but not so much when you're inside it, and it's not a food item at all. In fact, this interesting invention has been designed to protect motorcyclists in the event of a crash by releasing an inflating airbag which would envelop the entire body. The prototype is officially known as the Airbag for Bike, but the Human Burrito seems a more suitable name. Plus, it could lead to a range of food-related safety equipment. Imagine walking around an art museum and knocking over an intricate sculpture of a Roman bust, only to find it does this. This melting effect is the work of Chinese paper sculptor Li Hongbo, who is known for his stunning stretchable sculptures, which look like stone or even wood at first glance. Each artwork is meticulously crafted using thousands of stacked sheets of paper glued in a honeycomb structure, which can be manipulated like liquid. Just imagine a room where everything was a Li Hongbo sculpture. There are some strange plants in the world, but this African piranha plant has got to be up there with the best. It's not hard to see where the menacing plant gets its name, but the weirdness doesn't stop there. Like the ghost plant, it doesn't photosynthesize, but feeds on the roots of other plants. With no leaves, the piranha plant has only a bizarre red cantaloupe-like flower, which also stinks of fresh feces as it attempts to attract dung beetles to pollinate it. It may look like a Super Mario plant come to life, but you certainly wouldn't want to own one of these yourself. Sticking with weird plants, check out this bizarre Welwitschia plant from the Namib Desert in southwest Africa, which is pretty much a living corpse. This massive lump of withered leaves is actually a totally healthy plant, which uses its large, continually growing leaves to collect fog in the early morning hours. The Welwitschia produces coniferous cones rather than flowers and has existed since the dinosaur age, making it a true living fossil. Lone tumbleweed rolling down the street has always been an entertaining sight, but residents of this California town were certainly not amused when an invasion of tumbleweed descended on their homes in 2018. The high desert town of Victorville was overrun by the prickly plants during strong winds which broke the stems of the dead Russian thistle, sending them scattering in the town's direction. Residents used pitchforks to try and remove them, and reportedly, some were even trapped in their homes. It's the new snow day. What you're looking at here is neither a digitally censored rock nor one of those creepers from Minecraft, but a precious gemstone called Congo tourmaline. The stone has been intricately cut so that each surface reflects its surroundings, giving the impression that the entire object has been blurred using software. Just imagine dropping this valuable stone in the grass. Most colors come in different shades, but who knew there was a shade of black to beat the rest? Vanta Black, shown here, is a material created by Surrey Nanosystems in the UK, which is one of the darkest substances known to man, absorbing up to 99.96% of all visible light. It's so dark that 3D objects coated in it appear completely flat when viewed head-on, and even a flat shape can appear deceptively deep. Case in point, this 8-foot art installation which looks like a cartoon hole. What kind of black magic is going on in this GIF? It seems like the ornamental tea table has been totally transformed by some futuristic liquid paint. And that is kinda true. The psychedelic design is hidden by a black thermochromic spray paint coating which is heat sensitive, revealing the color beneath when boiling water is poured over it. Heat sensitive paint has been used in various ways, and you might even own it yourself on color changing novelty bugs. This video shows Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela, which suffers lightning strikes almost every day. But there's plenty you may not know about this natural phenomenon. Lightning strikes can leave behind some impressive patterns when electric currents vaporize the moisture underground, marking it like the skin of those unfortunate enough to be struck. When lightning strikes sand, it's a whole different story, as 1800 degrees Celsius heat fuses the sand and silica to produce glass-lined tubes known as fulgurite or petrified lightning, which can be dug up like fossils. Freak weather can also create a deadly fire tornado, which may sound extreme, but is actually a very real thing. This natural occurrence is common in bushfires when a flaming tree or grassland is swept up into a tornado, which wreaks havoc as it burns its way through everything in its path. Canadian firefighters ran into trouble in 2018 when their hose was sucked into a firenado in which they were unable to put out. But hey, one eager billionaire even had his own personal fire tornado installed at his Las Vegas mansion. Have you ever seen a glow-in-the-dark shark? Scientists in 2019 were finally able to answer the baffling questions behind this unusual talent discovered when researchers using special lighting to study biofluorescent coral happened upon the luminous green fish. The secret was not that the sharks had been genetically modified for science like these kittens, but that they cleverly absorbed blue light from the ocean and re-emitted it as green light to prevent bacteria from growing on their skin. If you're a dog lover, the Land of the Strays will likely be your idea of heaven. This rescue facility in Costa Rica, otherwise known as Torito Rio de Zaguates, is a safe haven for almost 1,000 stray dogs who are free to enjoy the 378 acres of tropical mountain land which they call home. Visitors and volunteers can walk and play with the canine companions, and almost every dog is up for adoption, so it'd be hard to leave empty-handed. The giant wolf eel photographed here can be a terrifying sight, but even more so once you know the extent of their diet. The creature's strong teeth allow it to chomp through red sea urchins, and if they get through enough of them, their teeth start to resemble rose quartz stones. You wouldn't want to run into this guy down a dark alley. Moving is a laborious process, but consider this. It was tradition in Malaysian villages for communities to move entire wooden houses by lifting and carrying them to their next destination. To revive this for the younger generation, villagers of Kampong Labu Kabong transported a 150-year-old house by hand in 2018. This technique has also been used by the Amish community, and boy does it look like hard work. This photo might seem like a real-life nightmare fairy tale, but this 74-year-old farmer really did have a 4-inch devil horn sprouting from his head. The growth began when he bumped his head 5 years prior, but Indian surgeons had to remove it after the man's barber could no longer shave it down for him. These keratin horns can be linked to sunlight and radiation exposure, and those bestowed with one or two often look like they're wearing